Stop that illegal digging immediately." Those were the very first words out of her mouth, echoing across my land like she was delivering some kind of suburban war cry at dawn. There she was, Darlene Hartwell, the self-appointed queen of our HOA, standing in my field in a silk robe with her phone already out calling the cops on me while I was out there just trying to fix up my old fence, the one that had been chewed up by termites in time. All I wanted was a normal Saturday, the kind you pray for after a brutal week, but nope. She managed to spin my little fence project into a full-blown neighborhood crisis before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. And I'll tell you straight, she had absolutely no idea what kind of storm she was waking up that morning. It started out so simple. Just before sunrise, I was on the porch, boots up, coffee hot, watching the light roll over the grass my dad left me. That air, it had a bite. The kind of chill that gets your blood moving, reminds you you're alive, makes you grateful for a patch of earth to call your own. I had a plan, knock out 50 feet of fence before noon. Maybe grill something later, call it a win. My dad used to say, "Son, there's two kinds of problems in life. The ones you fix early and the ones that come back to fix you." And I guess that stuck with me. So there I was, right around 7:30, firing up the Kubota, setting the first post, sweat coming through my shirt, feeling good, thinking about how simple life can be if you don't go looking for trouble. But trouble that comes looking for you, especially when it's wearing pink silk and carrying a clipboard. I see her coming, hair-perfect slippers, somehow still clean, that voice, sharp as barbed wire, and she's shouting about aesthetic sightlines and HOA Covenant 4.2b. Like I'm out there building an amusement park, not just fixing a fence. She goes on about committees and pre-approvals like any of that matters to a guy working on his own side of the property line. But here's the part that stings. This wasn't about a fence. Darlene and her husband used to own this land before things got messy, and they had to sell it off to my dad in a fire sale. She'd tried to buy it back from me twice since he passed, and each time I told her no, polite but firm. So you see, this was never about the fence. It was about control, about her wanting back what she lost, and about making sure I remembered who she thought was in charge. I tried to show her the survey legal sign notarized, but she wasn't hearing it. Next thing I know, she's got the sheriff on speed dial, laying it on thick about aggressive behavior and heavy machinery and how she's afraid for her safety. 20 minutes later, Sheriff Martinez rolls up, a good guy who's seen all this nonsense before, and I can see in his face he already knows what's up. I hand him every piece of paperwork I've got, deed permits, the whole 9 yards. He checks it all, walks the line, gives me a nod, tells me everything's good. But Darlene, she's playing for the crowd, practically begging him to make an example out of me. The rules say he's got to issue a cooling-off period just to cover the county's tail, so he hands me a warning and pockets the keys to my excavator for the day. Darlene's standing there, grinning like she just won the lottery, telling me I should learn to be more cooperative with my community. I stood in my own yard, watching her strut back to her house, marble pillars and all, and something inside me just snapped. Maybe this was the day I stopped rolling over just to keep the peace. You know what I mean? I could almost hear my dad. Sometimes the system takes its time, but when it works completely. I wasn't about to let her have the last word. But for a while I was just stuck. Right when I'm about ready to throw in the towel, there's a knock at my door. It's Linda, sweet old lady, lived down the road since the 90s, Vietnamese, worked for every single thing she's got. She presses a little USB drive in my palm and whispers, "I recorded everything. That woman lied to the police." Turns out Linda had the whole circus caught on camera from her kitchen window. You could hear every single word Darlene said. That drive flipped everything upside down. I took it straight to the sheriff along with every piece of evidence I could scrounge up. Martinez watched the footage twice, jaw clenched so tight I thought he'd break a molar. Problem was, even with proof, the county moves slow, and Darlene's got friends everywhere. City Hall, the council, you name it. This wasn't going to be my last headache, not by a long shot. By sundown, she'd called up half the city council, a few city planners, even the local paper painting me up as some wild-eyed threat to the good suburban order. When I pulled in that night, there was a pile of broken junk blocking my garage security cameras spray painted over, and a bright shiny HOA violation stuck to my door for unsightly materials. The nerve right, like getting mugged, then getting fined for making a mess. That's when the isolation really started. Neighbors who used to wave suddenly had something else to do. Clients disappeared, jobs dried up, the fines piled on. But none of it hurt like walking into the barn, running my hand along Dad's old workbench and feeling for the first time that maybe I wasn't just fighting for a fence, maybe I was fighting for all the stuff they think regular folks are too scared or tired to stand up for. So I dug in, upgraded my cameras this time with hidden angles, military night vision cloud, back up the works. If Darlene wanted to play dirty, I'd out-document her every step. And man, the attacks ramped up fast. Tires slashed, truck keyed, more trash dumped, garage spray painted. Police couldn't do much footage, never quite clear enough, and Darlene, her connections made her untouchable. But the third night, that was it for me. I heard a chainsaw whining just before 3 a.m. Her landscapers cutting down the big old oak tree my dad and I planted for my mom, a living memory 30 years old. Watching it fall, I'll admit I cried like a little kid, just gutted. But anger only gets you so far. That morning I found myself digging through Dad's old paperwork, everything filed neat as a pin. And there it was. The golden ticket and easement agreement signed by Darlene's own family, letting their house pull power lines across my land with one condition: they never harass us. Break that, and I could pull the plug literally. I called up Jake, my old college buddy, now a real estate lawyer in Austin. And when he read that clause, he just laughed, said, "Man, this is airtight. Nobody in Texas could fight this and win." So I filed with the county, made it official notice to terminate the easement power company. And sheriff notified, gave Darlene one last chance, fix the damage, give a public apology, and we'd call it even. Her answer: "You have no idea who you're messing with. I'll destroy you." All right, let's see. Next morning, the whole neighborhood came out, some filming, some just sipping coffee, waiting for the fireworks. Power company truck pulled up, sheriff. Standing by Linda, front row, big as life. Darlene came running out, robe flapping, wild-eyed, phone to her ear, but every call just went to voicemail. It was almost sad watching her realize she couldn't buy or bully her way out of this one. Sheriff Martinez looked my way, nodded. "You sure I thought about Dad, about that tree, about everything I'd lost, and I said justice isn't revenge, it's just finally holding someone to the truth." I flipped the switch, and for a second, nothing. Then the mansion went dark, pool pump, stopped, lights out. AC cut, security system, beeping, total silence. The crowd cheered, but all I could hear was the quiet, peaceful, for once the way my land's supposed to sound. After that, Darlene's world just came apart. Generator bills, hotel stays. Her husband packed up, house listed at a loss. HOA gave her the boot, and plot twist elected Linda as president. First thing Linda did was scrap half those dumb rules about lawns and work trucks. My business blew up, folks, coming from all over wanting the guy who stood up to the HOA queen. Neighborhood changed for real this time, people talking, helping, living without looking over their shoulder for some bully with a clipboard. So that's how it happened, just a regular guy, a box of paperwork, and a little Texas law versus $1 million bully. Funny how justice looks, sometimes a mansion gone dark, a community breathing again, and a cold beer on my porch as the sun comes up. Now you tell me, was I too harsh, or did she get what she had coming? Would you forgive someone like that, or is there no going back? Drop your take in the comments. Let's see where folks really stand on justice, HOAs, and fighting for what's right.